Hello everybody, this is Manny again coming to you with something very special to my heart of what can help you in this process that you are trying to do, which is financing and buying a home. Talk about this right here. This frustrated face that starts with everything you can think of, short of the fact of actually having direction, but this book kind of gives it. It is a great way to approach any financial decision in real estate, all right? Mainly if you're buying your own home, right? Investors can do it as well, can read this book, buying a second home, even going into commercial, but mainly if you're trying to buy your own home for your family, it's going to help you a lot. And the main thing about this book we're going to talk about is the first step in this video, right? And the first step is the most important step, right? It's number one. Now, there's 4 steps in this book. Condensed it down to 4 steps only. There's so much more that goes in this process, but I can promise you, make it in 4 steps, you're not going to forget anything and miss anything. On the first step is getting started with buying a home. Pretty straightforward, and it brings in live content for it. So I can go ahead and talk about that now, right? First step on the first step. So when it comes to reading the book, you're going to get a lot more content, but the only thing I want you guys to know is everything that is, I guess you can say, based on buying a home is all based on averages, right? Buying a home is all an average based on when you think is right for you. You can go back 3 years, you can go back 5 years, you can go back 10 years, find out what data points are going to help you buy a home. But the only thing that you need to know is step 1 is when you want to buy a home, you got to make a decision yourself that you feel it's ready. The data is going to come, but you got to know that you and your family are ready to make the decision financially, right? So I have one thing that I want to bring up from the book that I liked it, which is the first question that comes up in the book, which is why I made it the first chapter. What is the number 1 challenge potential home buyers encounter during the mortgage process? And what is their biggest concern? Now, if you had to ask yourself what you think, what is the biggest potential challenge, I mean, what would you say? Like the example I give is when I had my first daughter, right? When she was going to come into the world, I wanted to prepare myself for every single situation. I needed to be a good father. I read all the books of how to be a parent, a first-time parent, you guys name it, all right? But the second she came, it's all in the book, second she came, everything I prepared for was out the window. Was not prepared for that situation, right? The thing is though, until you actually go through the process, you're not gonna really feel comfortable and understand it. But I can promise and tell you that as long as you do feel excited and you do know that they're not to stress preparing 100% for the process. You can't prepare 100% for this home buying process, right? It's 1 or 2 transactions you're gonna have in your entire life. How do you prepare for something that is just that minimal done? That's not a minimal time in your life. You can't, right? You gotta have a trusted process. I try to guide you with the first step is a mental approach. I'm not even talking about numbers. I'm not even talking about, it's just the mental approach of knowing that you cannot prepare 100% for this. It literally is not an option if you want to move forward and feel comfortable in just doing this decision, right? It's a very just mindset approach. It's a step back of the synergy, the soft skills that comes into buying a house. It's not even the finances. Right? When I started all this in the very beginning, I have the luxury of just meeting exciting people of different parts of their life, right? So when they're wanting to buy a home, the most expensive, like I said, don't prepare 100%, right? That you can't prepare it on your own. You don't have the knowledge, right? Give yourself the credibility, give other people what they've trained their whole life for, what they've experienced their whole life for, what they have licensing for, to give you the knowledge and the data. Right? You walk into the doctor's office, you're not telling the doctor what to do. I mean, you want to, you know it's a pretty easy situation, but kind of leverage the expertise, guys. So like the only thing I say is getting started buying a home is the number 1 challenge is don't prep 100% for it. I promise you, I have clients that come in here with the obstacles that exist for people trying to buy a home. You feel that the biggest opportunity you've read is all online. It's tough, guys. Another thing too that on the first chapter that I was talking about is on step 1, like I mentioned, right, guys, step 1, getting started and buying your home. There's a bunch of myths that you come into too. So that's what you come before. There's myths, there's stories you hear, there's opportunities you thought that you had and you don't want to have. And it's all based on 2 main ideas that got you that in your head, yourself and yourself. You're putting that stuff in your head. I mean, I think there's so many myths I can see right now. The myths that I talk to is right now, some of the one thing I'm bringing in the chapter 1 too is, when it comes to all this, most people, I'm talking about millennials and Generation Z, they think they have to have a large down payment to put money down. They're thinking financially to be stable, to take a responsibility like this. I love the idea of 20% down. Right? That's always been something that people talk about all the time. Right? You're saving your money. You definitely, whatever situation you're in, to kind of put yourself in a position to buy a home first time, but that's not the case. Like I said, guys, that's not the case. We got to find out what the budget is for you, but I promise you that's not a situation, a myth that you want to know and actually overcome with. And employment too. I mean, people talk about employment as another reason of a myth. Like when you want to buy a home, that's the myth they have too. Wow, how's that going to work? I said, if you try to prepare 100%, you got to just lay the information out with the expert, which in the case would be your mortgage broker. Because the broker has all the lenders for you. Something else that you want to think about is everything when it comes to buying a home. Like I said, it's not really the fact that I'm talking about step one. It's the mindset in step one. Step one is just approaching it knowing that you're not going to beat yourself. I don't have 20% down. I've changed jobs. I don't think I'm ready for it. My wife doesn't think we're ready. Right? Daycare. All those self-perceptions that you're putting in your head, you realize that there's nothing that's going to hold you back financially to buy a home. There's nothing. Right? Short of the fact that you just not taking the step. Mentioned, like I said, obstacles that people tell all the time. Here's another one I refer to is purchasing power. You do all your data and you Google everything and you Google home buying, you're going to see purchasing power. You're going to see down payment requirements. You're going to see everything that you need to do, and you haven't even applied yet. So I'm telling you, the first step is just knowing what you need to do, which is just get yourself in a situation mentally that there's going to be documentation. There's going to be a lot of great questions, a lot of great answers on making sure you know on what it means to get started on buying a home, because it's all considered a major life event. Remember, this only happens once. I'm going to say it again at the end here, once or twice in your lifetime. That's it. So if you have that mindset that that's all that's ever going to happen in your life, you can't prepare for that. You can't. But just trust that there is knowledge to information. That when you approach it, at least now with this book, you can have a mental approach and have an idea of what it means to get pre-qualified. That's all step one is. Getting started with buying a home is you. Not even about how much you qualify for, it's mentally you. Are you ready to actually go through the full step 100% and make that financial commitment? That's it. Mental approach. That's all I got. That's all chapter one is. I'm good to go. Yeah.